Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Mohamed, and tonight we're going to focus on the main events that took place here in Egypt and the world over the past couple of days, and more specifically the second ministerial conference, as it was chaired between the Egyptian and the Russian foreign ministers from Egypt, Dr. Badr Abdulati, the foreign minister of the country, and his counterpart from Russia, Sergei Lavrov, and they chaired the second ministerial conference of the trilateral cooperation for the African-Russian Forum, which took place here in Egypt, and more specifically in the new capital. We'll be shedding more light on the importance of holding this conference and the repercussions on the political, the diplomatic and the economic levels after this forum. However, we'll be starting straight away with the main top stories for today, and they come through the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who stressed the necessity of continued joint coordination between the government and the central bank to monitor the priorities of the next phase, ensuring the integration that guarantee the sustainability of the positive indicators for the Egyptian economy. Al-Sisi confirmed the importance of continuing efforts to ensure the availability of the necessary financial resources to support the economy and achieve financial stability. This came during President Al-Sisi's meeting with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Central Bank Governor Hassan Abdullah, and Finance Minister Ahmed Kujak. President Al-Sisi directed to increase the foreign currency reserves and meeting the necessary financing needs to bolster the developmental efforts. Meanwhile, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi affirmed Egypt's full and continued support for the brotherly country Iraq, its unity and its territorial integrity, as well as its assistance in confronting the numerous challenges facing the region, especially terrorism. This came during President al-Sisi's meeting with the Prime Minister of the Kurdistan region of Iraq, Masroor Barzani. President al-Sisi praised the cooperation between the Egyptian and the Iraqi security agencies, as well as the efforts of the Iraqi state and the Kurdistani regional government aimed at establishing stability and peace in the region. For his part, Barzani expressed his appreciation for the role of Egypt and President al-Sisi in supporting Iraq and in restoring peace and stability in the region. The meeting tackled means of enhancing the economic cooperation between Egypt and Iraq, including the Kurdistan region. The meeting also tackled the latest regional developments of the mutual concern. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati affirmed the depth of the bilateral ties between Egypt and South Sudan. In a joint press conference that followed the meeting with the South Sudanese counterpart, Abdulati added that the talks dealt with the means of boosting relations between Egypt and South Sudan, in addition to several issues of mutual interest. During the talks, Abdulati expressed Egypt's support of the peace agreement, hoping it will help maintain stability and calm. South Sudan's Foreign Minister, Monday Semenya Komba, handed Abdulati a message for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi from the South Sudan President Salva Kiir. And heading straight away to the main report of the topic for today on the Daily Debate, which is the second ministerial conference of the African-Russian Cooperation Forum that took place in Egypt yesterday. And we will be having more details in the upcoming report about the potential of the trilateral cooperation between Africa, Egypt and Russia.
Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati called for equitable, mutually respectful partnerships between Africa and international partners during the second ministerial conference of Russia-Africa Partnership Forum held in Cairo on Saturday. Abdelati stressed that stability in the international system is closely linked to respect for the fundamental principles governing relations between states, including sovereignty, non-interference in internal affairs. He added that Africa, given its human, economic and political potential, must be at the forefront of active players in the international system, reaffirming the continent's unified position on reforming the UN Security Council in line with the third declaration. He also called for reforming international financial structures to better meet African needs, particularly in technology transfer and access to concessional financing. The foreign minister underlined that effective African partnerships must be based on equality, mutual respect and shared interests, and aligned with the development priorities of Agenda 2063. Rather than temporary or conditional frameworks, he said, economic and development dimensions represents a central pillar of African-Russian cooperation, especially in light of challenges facing many African states in food security, energy, infrastructure, and technology transfer. On security, Abdelati stressed that development cannot be achieved without a safe and stable environment, reaffirming Egypt's commitment to national ownership, the preservation of state institutions, and adherence to African Union principles on sovereignty and territorial integrity. He called for a comprehensive political, developmental, social, and intellectual approach that address the root causes of conflicts and terrorism within the interconnected framework of peace, security, and development. This approach, he said, includes investing in infrastructure, education, and healthcare, empowering youth and women, strengthening counter-terrorism capacities, building strong institutions, securing sustainable and predictable funding for African peace support operations.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Dr. Mohamed Mokhtar, the international relations expert. Dr. Darwish, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
I'm glad to be joining the program first today, and as usual with you, Mr. Ahmed.
Anytime. First of all, we'll be shedding more light on the meeting that took place between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, which took place on Saturday. How do you see the importance of this meeting, and what were the main messages sent from both sides to each other?
The important things related to that meetings, that Russian is looking for Africa. It's not a jewel. It's gold and all the treasure. It's the big treasures. So that's why Russian is taking care about Africa, and it's very important to them, especially dedicated these days. And of course, our President Fattah al-Sisi is he's one of the top priorities, and his focus to Africa, to implementing and more growing related to everything related to Africa, related to the business, to financial, to economy, to all these things. And it was a great message to try to solving all the things related in happen, which is Africa fearings or suffering from, and supporting from Russia to try to get solution and suitable solution related to that.
What does this meeting say about the role of Egypt, the status of Egypt as a pillar of stability and security in the Middle East?
It shows well how is it Egypt, as you mentioned in your question, Mr.
Yes.
Ahmed, the stability and the important and everything related to Egypt that has to running out or working places related to the place of Egypt. And that show how much caring from Russia and all the world related to Egypt, because it's playing to solving anything you want to solve anything or to find solutions. You must be in Egypt or to be cooperating with Egypt to solving the things. And of course we know that's what Africa needs, some implementing, some effort from all the things, all international countries abroad, because as I mentioned, it's a big, huge treasure in Africa, but need some all the natural substance in the world in Africa. Everything's in Africa, but need management, need solutions, need some stability, and need also. That's why Egypt tried to keep moving on that, make several platforms abroad, using digitalities also, using everything to find solutions, to find to passing with Africa, to become again shining and to be passing them suffering and them problems as soon. That's why of course Minister Revrov was in and settled with our President Fattah al-Sisi to find solving to this issue as soon, and also put schedules related to that to find the solutions. And also of course Russian taking care to have a place in Africa, to also one of the secure, I believe it could be one of the secure for them. And if initially them giving a little bit of support, you found the get back a feedback, a very effective feedback from Africa, but just give them, give them a hand of to passing and solving these things that we are in. And I believe it could be make a difference after this appointment and these meetings, and we'll see what's the days bring for Africa.
Yes, and speaking about this meeting and the coordination between the Egyptian and the Russian sides, because we have seen the points of view being exchanged from both sides about the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, which of course culminated and ended in a ceasefire being implemented in its first phase, to say the least, between the Israeli occupation forces and the Palestinian fighters of Hamas in the Gaza Strip. How do you see the importance of the coordination on regional issues such as the Gaza Strip, such as the situation in Sudan, for example?
It was also one of the important files that our president talking with, as you've been implementing Sudan, solving this effort and found a solution and stability for Sudan, and even the achievement to the coming next step related to Gaza, because it's one of the important to get this agreement, finalize it, establish it, because still there is several issues that didn't find a solution with it. That's why our president managed, with Russian to finalize all these situations, to be as soon found this achievement on land, not just a paper agreement. And I believe Minister Revrov is promised to find the solutions and keeping pushing that as soon. Also with several type, approaching with all other countries, and we will see. I believe Russian is very caring about these issues to find stability in Middle East. And that's why them directly communicate and cooperate with Egypt, because them one of the priorities for them in the area. And also reference to the several projects was being also with Dab'a situations, and there is several representatives from Russian and Egyptian minister also was attending this after this appointment. dedicated to find all the solutions, and also grossing investment related with Russian this coming days as soon. And even also to discuss the huge project have a huge project in Africa related to investment, related to developments, related to power also, and the need of that, and all of type of cooperative agricultures, because as I mentioned before, it's Africa is a really natural area, but you need how to directing, how to finalizing, how to manage this, and gaining for that. That's also one of the topic story was that's things, and I believe there is an agenda to finalize as soon on date solutions and see the results related to this appointment.
Yes, over the past 10 years and maybe more for the past 11 years, under the tenure of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, how do you see the role of Egypt? How has it evolved in terms of preventing more escalation in the regional tensions, especially within this volatile region in the Middle East?
It's a very deep questions and very important questions. Our president has working in all the platforms, all sites, everywhere from A to Z, as we mentioned, from Africa to Europe, and we're gaining back. I believe we're gaining back the power and the history of Egyptians to be back and to be one of the focus on changing any solutions or changing any decisions, starting by Egypt. I believe it's very, very important efforts and very high efforts from internally to internationals, and become one of the key, secret key is Egypt to finalize or to directing or to find solutions is Egypt. And of course, when dedicated to this 10 years, of course, for the last two years, we need to appreciate also the effort of the Dr. Badr Abdel Ati, that I believe he never sleep. We never stop. Dedication, the stopping, finalizing, stop cooperations with all the world. I believe we can mention as an example, Egypt become the world, because it was the world and it become back. This our president making, become back to the world. It's the world. If you need to get out of Egypt, you don't find the world. You're not in. We believe that Egypt has become in all of types, all of the things. Egypt are in. Egypt is the key, secret key to any solutions, to any projects, anything is Egypt. And we believe it's very, very special and deep effort from Africa to Middle East to abroad. It's really a very appreciation effort to what we've done in the last 10 years.
Yes, and speaking about the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Sudan and Libya in specific, how do you see the importance of the shared points of view between Egypt and Russia to be working to those ends, to be shared, to be preserving the security, the stability, and of course the territorial integrity of both Sudan, specifically Sudan nowadays, and Libya?
Egypt is keeping insist, no ways out. Sudan will be Sudan, will not be, no needs to get a part in the pieces again. Egypt tried to moving and cooperating and asking all the effort from all the world to get back Sudan as it could be before, and today before tomorrow, all the type of war is being there. Stop killing innocent peoples, and related to that, it's one of the Egypt red lines related to that all the corporations, all the needs, Egypt to try to supporting these files to find as soon as we could solutions related to that, with cooperating with the whole world, because one of the strategic, very important strategics politically also is Sudan files. One of the security savings is Sudan files, because one of the gate of Egypt. On the other part, as you mentioned, Mr. Ahmed, it's Libya. Libya is a very, very, the gate, also the other gate for Egypt. And Egypt keep moving to solution to that, but with Libyan decision, not any innocent or insisting from outside any other country. countries. And Egypt is believing who making the difference is Libyan, is Sudanian people to try to cooperate, to try to make all the type of effort, uploading, and related to internationals, whatever, all the type of effort to finalize the solution, but from the deep of Libya and Sudan. And it's very specific, and initially filing, and Egypt want to, we're keeping all the effort and all the things to finalize that soon, to passing this situation related to post-fire.
Yes, on Saturday, the meeting between His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, one of the statements, the main statements by President al-Sisi, was to be expanding the strategic ties between Egypt and Russia, especially after the developments that we have seen at the Daba nuclear power plant.
Yes.
What are the main pillars of those strategic ties and how to expand them?
It shows well how's the deep of the relations and the moving and updating of the relations between Russia and Egypt, and high levels, show how the high levels communicating and high level of minister and the government from Egypt and Russian is important from Daba and the other situations related to all this file was talking about it, especially with this specific time. As we know, everybody's know the war is getting in from Russia and Ukraine, and I believe also one of the file maybe our president is talking about, and try to also, if Egypt able to do any effort related to this related files, but it shows also the appreciation from Russian government and of course President Vladimir Putin to all of our Egypt President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and he keeping also wishing more increasing dedicated to that situations, or dedicated to that dedication together. I believe it's going to keep increasing related to that files and related to that matter.
Yes, from the diplomatic or the political fronts to the economic fronts, how do you think Egypt will be benefiting from the cooperation between Egypt and Russia, more specifically in implementing or constructing the Russian industrial zone at the Suez Canal economic zone, for example, and the Daba nuclear power plant? How can Egypt be benefiting for its economy?
It's must to return back to the important things. The important thing is we become a very cooperative logistics area in the Middle East.
Yes.
If you want, it's the connection of the world is becoming Egypt. That's why Russia is taking care about this point, and to have access related from Africa, related also to the Middle East, starting by Egypt. That's why is the increasing. About also the economy is very getting increasing our economy, especially for this huge project. It's shown us, and also to saving, and we need it also for our energy source. Daba nuclear is very important to our energy source, dedicated to also that's important situations, and show how is the stability and stable from the economy and the financial issue related to Egypt. That's why we found this in our earth and in Egypt. And logistic area is very cooperative. It's become, and for all who watching us, it's like a piece of the world and an overseas become from Egypt, from Suez and Canal. So that's easy to implementing, to shifting, to parallel any material from Egypt, starting from Egypt, and to be one of the biggest stores in logistics area is starting by Suez. That's why Russian is taking care about that, and to be one of the debating reference to the Middle East, reference to the Russian to be founded from Egypt, starting from Egypt logistics area.
Yes, Dr. Delouish, from the presidential level to another development, which was Egypt hosting the second ministerial conference for the Russian-African Cooperation or Partnership Forum in Egypt. So that was a major milestone, because there were more than 50 heads of states and governments and representatives from different African states. How do you see the importance of the trilateral cooperation between Egypt, Russia and Africa in general?
We must show that, show to the whole world that how is Egypt is trustable, is the communication points, is the active communication point related to Africa and trustable from all the world, starting from Russian and other. And that's why, you know, if I would like to go to the anything, you must knock the door. And one of the door is Egypt. That's why the Russians had to communicate and to cooperate with us. And of course, that show how the implementing or the cooperations and also all the type of relation, depending from economy, related from everything related to how the trustable with all the other African countries related to that. That's why them are in, and them all respecting the efforts and all the methods and all types of Egypt doing to finalize with Russian a solution related to saving Africa for all the things that them are getting being attacking or being in Africa.
Yes, this is the first time that this meeting is taking place in Africa, because we do know about previous meetings that took place in Sochi, for example, in 2019, in St. Petersburg in 2023. So this is the first time for Africa to be hosting such a ministerial conference. What does this say about the Egyptian-African relations now under the tenure of President?
It's put an eye and a hand to the Africa again, yes, to put also focus all medias about importance of Africa back, and starting from Russian, and I'm sure that all the world will make the same. Starting from Russia, I mean, believing we're gonna also from Europe, from the state, and all of that type. It shows the importance, and the whole world needs Africa, and it's very important in the world. So, but them need some little bit supporting, what we say, a part of a hand to passing all the things that we dedicated in Africa.
On the other hand, we do know that Russia is a founding member of the BRICS. Egypt, of course, has joined the BRICS. How do you see the importance of establishing cooperation protocols between the BRICS and the African states through Russia and Egypt, member states?
Of course. That shows that you don't depend on one ways.
Yes.
Egypt is working in the whole world and all the types and all the arms. One of it, as you mentioned, Mr. Ahmed, is the BRICS. And try to make several solutions, several economy and opening solutions related to that, and related also to the deep, how the deep of the importance also of Russian in the world. And as we see how the strong enough from the economy and the strategy of Russian after this becoming to the third years from war, and Russian is still standing, that show us Egypt to try to getting in every places and everywhere to try to debating in several types of economy and like BRICS to find the solutions or getting all types of increasing our economy, increasing our future-wise to all Egyptians. That's why our presidents believe in that. That's why we're working on it.
Yes, Russia is also a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. How do you see the role of Russia in preserving peace in Africa and the world now?
It's become a very sensitive related to what the action is in.
Yes.
But it's as everybody knows, the strong is strong enough. Whatever happening, it will be Russian. What we say, that's the brave Russian is still standing, still moving, whatever that, and all what he facing related to his initially stability, and even how it's huge for Russian, and whatever happening, still them are standing, and show that's different between the UN and related to what happening related to them, until keep this time them still standing, them still believing it's one of the very important initially political and policy from that war, and them are trying to fighting to them secure. And I believe as a matter of if the UN mentions, and from our studio here, I believe it's as soon we will find a solution. There is the coming solution for 2026 related to that war will stopping. But it could be after the quarter or in the half of the year between Russia and Ukraine, and I believe it's time it will to solving these situations.
Yes, Dr. Darwish, the second ministerial conference for the cooperation and the partnership between Russia and Africa, of course, including Egypt, and hosted by Egypt. The conference was entitled African Solutions for African Problems. How they see the role of Egypt in finding solutions for the African problems, more specifically for terrorism, so the cooperation in counter-terrorism, how they see the scope of that, and to be finding resolutions for the conflicts within the African continent.
It's a deep question, and our president has mentioned that clear. He need a stable. He need to stop all type of war in the pieces area related to Africa, and he need not just only the pieces area. He need Africa have living in peace abroad, and of course our president Fattah al-Sisi is guarantee and requesting the solution will not come in from outside of Africa. It be in, and also from our studio, I believe. We have here in Egypt and in Africa several consultants and several have experienced team. Why not that using this team approach from Egypt or other to solving, to working on it? And as my past experience, you know that there is a schedule and there is a rotation for solutions, and who will be the contact list, for example, to find these solutions? I mean, from Russia and from whatever to really, this is our top presidents and the government, Egyptian government, focus to find inside solution, inside progress related to all of type of Africa solution, because it's time, and he mentioned is enough unstable and peace related to Africa, and time to crop it and using all the world to find a little bit stable and moving to Africa.
Yes, and speaking of progress and stability, Dr. Darwish, we do know that the trade exchange between Russia and Africa has totaled about $27 billion for the past fiscal year. How do you see the scope of progress in this field economically for both sides?
Both sides has been increasing, and one of the points also Dr. Badr Abdel Ati and our president talking about it, to increasing that related to also to Egypt and Africa, and I believe that there is a rotation schedule planning related to that, for both sides, wherever from Russian, wherever also from Africa, related to that, and there was several special meetings related to every, I mean, most of these countries related to with Russian representative and with the High Minister, the first High Minister, and very communicated to found a rotation schedule, found solution on plan, not just on opening things. We need a progress, as you mentioned. We need a solutions. We need also a time. It's not a matter of just attendance meetings. And I believe we will show most different in these coming years related to Africa files. But I believe it need more insist from Africa themselves to keep him moving, to keeping found, I mean, little bit of stability inside it internally. That will be also Egypt had to giving several experience related to how and trainings and awareness for African people to make the stability inside it. If you don't have a stability inside it, we will not have any increasing related to that file. And Egypt is involving in that, dedicated to that, but not in becoming anything related to them. And Egypt try to carpet to them to make the decision with them own. Nobody is moving or requesting things related to that, because as my experience related to that, also from power, it was requesting by, well, not need to mention that all of the things is controlling but outside it, from all of the type of power and so on and energy. But now it's make a difference. It's become the decision and the making it be returned a little bit to the Africa, and we need more related to that fight.
Yes, and more will be done in the future. Dr. Mohamed Mokhtar Darwish, the international relations expert, thank you very much for being with us.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate it.
And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received a phone call from the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi. The call focused on the outstanding bilateral ties between Egypt and the DRC. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the President of the Sovereign Council of Sudan, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. A discussion was held in the presence of the delegations of both the countries as they discussed the ways to strengthen and further develop the strong bilateral ties between the two nations across various sectors. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Mr. Sergei Lavrov, on the sidelines of the second ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum hosted by Egypt. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the ministers and heads of African delegations along with representatives from the African Union Commission and regional organizations who are participating in the second ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum hosted by Egypt. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi delivered a speech during his meeting with the ministers and heads of African delegations along with representatives from the African Union Commission and regional organizations who are participating in the second ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum hosted by Egypt.